Yo,
Hey,
we're live.
we're live.
We're live. We're live, man. We are so live today on the Aperture Fight Focused Podcast. We got Coach Rage.
What's up?
And this whole thing happened because of what? You saw like an awesome overhand right, and like break it down for us.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, I can't remember the fighter's name.
Some guy.
Some guy.
Fighter A.
In the UFC. He was a heavyweight through a textbook overhand right, but it was so short, crisp, and technical. The broadcast crew didn't recognize it as an overhand. And so I posted about it on the forum, and then a whole slew of questions started. Well, what do you mean about it? And I said, how about I just shoot a video? So I reviewed with some of my students and taught others, and we put it on video. And then that one thing led to another, and here we are.
Here we are. I loved your explanation, by the way. But what is the wrong way? Let's assume there is. What's the wrong way to throw an overhand right? And is it still wrong if it accomplishes the desired effect, which is to knock the other dude the F out?
Okay. So let me talk out both sides of my mouth. Right? I say there are wrong ways. And how I define something as wrong is based on risk benefit. Where, Bruce Lee or whoever, did I lose you?
No, I'm here, bud.
Okay. My computer just did something.
You're looking great. Keep going.
Awesome.
Bruce Lee or MMA Jesus.
Yeah. MMA Jesus, right? Yeah. So Bruce Lee would say the right punch is the punch that lands. There we go. Sorry. Mm-hmm. The right punch is the punch that lands. So even if it's done incorrectly and accomplishes the knockout or it lands, it's right. And because we're not talking about one time, we're talking about career longevity. We're talking about designing a system for combat sports and a career. Then you need to start really looking at things in terms of risk of injury, risk management. And so some of the longer range, more powerful, more devastating styles of overhands come with a lot of risk of injury. Exactly.
Who's someone in the UFC right now that you can say throws it wrong, but has a fairly good rate of success with throwing the overhand right? Like who does it wrong but gets it right? If that.
Yeah, I don't have that top of mind. I wish I did. I wish I could say, oh, so-and-so. I can say Pedro Munoz throws it right. I can say Amanda Nunes throws it pretty. She gets a little wild and loopy. I would say Chris Cyborg threw it wrong.
Okay. And the wrong way is too far extended.
Yeah.
Too far throwing it from inappropriate ranges. Is that a part of doing it wrong?
Yes. What I would consider wrong is trying to make what is a mid-range strike, try to make it a long-range strike. And where you execute it from also determines a lot of risk, right? So Cyborg, when she was winning, she was overwhelming. So she got away with a whole lot of stuff. You get away with stuff when your opponent is overwhelmed and or scared. So even, not to be sacrilegious, even Mike Tyson got away with a lot of less than technically perfect stuff because he hit so hard, he was so aggressive, and he was so overwhelming. But many of his techniques got, especially in the later years when in the later years of his career.
When later years things start happening.
Yeah, well, but also with him specifically, after Customato passed away, everything his trajectory changed as a fighter, as a person, and it's public knowledge, so I guess I don't know why I'm so uncomfortable talking about it, but there was a lot of fights where he was on a lot of drugs, and there was an era in no, that's perfect. I take back everything I said, and I'm gonna start teaching that. That is awesome. Man,
what's going on here?
That's the Wrestlers Overhand. Okay, so
the Wrestlers Overhand.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon that we have in MMA called the Wrestlers Overhand.
Okay,
so the reason this works is because of takedowns. Because good grappling, good wrestling, a proper wrestling defense is a sprawl. Somebody changes levels and starts to either snatch single or shoot the double. The defense is to step the lead leg back and drop the hands.
Right.
So that's proper wrestling defense. So if you can elicit the proper wrestling response so you fake a shot, or you change levels, or you make them defend the takedown properly, that opens everything. That leaves the head completely open, and the head's coming down because you are sprawling or defending the takedown. So
there's multiple ways to do it right.
Multiple ways to do what? The
overhand? Overhand right.
There has to be, but I only teach one way. So there has to be other ways that are taught that I'm not privy to, but the way I teach it is pretty textbook for professional American boxing.
Gotcha. So, okay, let's go back to this photo. This is the right way to do it contextually because dude is
Are we talking about a Wrestler's Overhand?
Well, we are now, because when I posted this up, I half expected you to go, "That's the wrong way to do it." And then you didn't do that.
I was completely being sarcastic. So this is what we call I'm
shows
sorry.
How little I know, right?
Well, okay. But it also, my wife has been married to me since 2004, and she still doesn't get my sense of humor. So it's not.
So there's no such thing as a wrestler's overhand.
Okay. There is such a thing as a wrestler's overhand.
Okay.
And it works. It works in MMA. It would never work in boxing, and it would never work in kickboxing. It would never work in Muay Thai. It would never work. I don't know. What else is there?
Where takedowns are disallowed is
right.
That a continuation?
If they're trained and proficient, and they have even rudimentary defense, right? If the hands are up and the eyes are open, that is not going to land. That's not going to land, right? And so easy, very easy to destroy. So I know we've got a lot of FMA people on this forum.
Unfortunately. I'm just kidding. You got to get my sense of humor too.
I didn't understand the accent. One more time.
So anyway, there's a lot of FMA dudes in this forum.
And something that I yoinked from FMA is destructions. Defanging the snake, as it was taught to me decades ago.
Right.
And I'm kind of a dick, especially when I fight. I'm a fucking asshole. So destructions are... So the best way to destroy something, I think, is knees and elbows. And somebody's coming big sloppy with their little bag of bones here. Man, yeah, it takes a little bit of luck and a little bit of timing, but you're definitely going to block it, and you might just break some shit. So yeah,
do you train for that? Because in FMA, that's a thing, right? Like it's almost in my opinion, it's sometimes trained dishonestly, as if I see the punch coming and then I'm going to do this. Is it more of an incidental thing that happens? Positive outcomes by doing the right things?
That's a great way of putting it, right? It's okay. So the highest probability is that this should be familiar with the audience, but maybe it isn't. I categorize defense. We have these classifications, these categorizations that we have to start with so that we can understand. But really, good is good, and it all just kind of fits together. But we've got, for defense, you have evasion, you have blocking, and you have redirecting. And your redirecting should have some evasion and maybe some blocking. They kind of all go together. But so a parry, the punch is coming in and you parry it, that's a redirect. But you're also getting off the line, and
so you're evading,
right? And then, the assignment that I give all my fighters is find that the delineation, find the line between evading and disengaging, or evading and running. Okay.
Find the line. That's specific.
Define it, right? Because I don't like you disengaging. I don't like you running. We're fighting, and when you disengage, now you cannot counter. You cannot attack. So you've diluted what I call offense density.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Density. Wow.
So we've got 5 minutes in a round, and we have trained fuel systems. So we have theoretically unlimited fitness because we are trained professional athletes, right? So how much offense can you pack in that time frame? It's an IR concept that we call offense density. And when you start bringing in destructions, now your defense has offense, and your offense has defense.
It's becoming efficient. I think of video games when I think about this. It's resource management, right? Given the task that's in front of you. It's like that health bar or the stamina bar, or
right.
It's like that's what I think. Yeah.
The clock is ticking.
The clock is ticking. Yeah.
Right. So and man, people just don't, fighters right now, the masses, they don't train that way. So
what are they substituting? What philosophy are they substituting?
I don't think it's a philosophy. I think it's a watch and repeat. This is, and a lot of unconscious habits. A lot of unconscious. People will throw the combination on the bag, and then throw it's like a little buffer that they're not even cognizant. They're not even aware that, okay, boom, 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 and then step back, reset. I call it square one, boom, 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 right? Instead of, well, what happens after the combination, right? Instead of training that buffer that you're not even aware of, training that pause, right? Happens a lot with mitt holders. Okay. They'll run the combination, reset, or they'll run the combination, and then the mitt holder will do the footwork for the fighter and come over here and then reset and do the same combination facing a different direction.
Right.
So that inadvertently, unconsciously conditions the fighter to throw the combination and then pause.
Is that a real danger? So here's the here's where I can draw something that I know a little bit about. Academically,
sure.
Shooting, right?
Yeah,
shooting at a range, shooting training, right? So after you pop off those rounds, even in a range environment, people go through the scanning procedure, right?
Okay.
And so the argument for doing that is you want to indoctrinate yourself to always do that, right? So the shots are done, and then you scan, because in application that's what you're supposed to do. But is it just a waste of time in that moment? Like every time I shoot around, I look, reholster, or can I not just reset, go square one? And
so I don't know anything about shooting. Well, I know
you do, yeah,
a little bit about shooting,
right?
But you do what you train. So if it's important to scan before you put your gun away, then you should train to do that. You should train to do that. Because
fair.
If you run you shoot the gun and then put it away differently each time, that's going to be. I know guys that just practice clearing the shirt and
draw stroke, yeah. For sure. Well, that's the argument against what you're actually saying, is because if I'm working on a particular element of marksmanship, like the trigger pull, like I'm working on that trigger squeeze along with my grip, then everything else that I do outside of that is just an exercise of inefficiency, because that's not actually the thing that I'm trying to work. And this is not the condition that is really, it doesn't replicate the application in that way.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well, I think it's about the totality of the whole, right? Yeah, we can stand without moving our feet and practice one punch, developing power. Bam, bam, bam. But the closer it gets to real execution, running a combination, bam, back to square one. Then what happens is you go in sparring or fighting, you run the combination, bam, bam, pause, back to square one. And I've seen a lot of, personally, witnessed a lot of guys get knocked out because I've seen their pad holder, boom, 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 boom. And so then they would run it, bah, and you gotta, you throw your combination. If they're still there, they're throwing back.
Right.
So you can't boom, 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 and then just come. You've got to be running.
Doing something else. Hey, let's look at this, Rage.
Nice.
What do you think? Nice, yeah. Are you being sarcastic again, and I'm not picking it up? What's going on?
So this is.
Does that even look like it's going to hit?
I'm pretty sure this is where Chuck gets knocked out, and for whatever reason, I'm blanking on. I know he's from Michigan, but I can't think of his name right now. So, body mechanics, the step, the weight shift, the drop looks great. He's slightly far away because the arm is extended, right? And obviously this landed, this worked. It's Rashad Evans knocking out Chuck Lidell. And there you go. Now, Chuck made a technical error, which enabled Rashad to land a less than perfect overhand. And less than perfect happens all the time, right? We call it slop. It's just part of the fight game. And it worked. But this is not a wrestler's overhand. This is slightly elongated actual boxing overhand. And if we look at Rashad's body position, he is slipping. It's called an inside slip. He's slipping to his lead leg, and the right arm is coming over. But he has the elbow extended, and it really should be. It shouldn't be any longer than what a hook would be. So you have a little bit of range or play in the length of the weapon, but it shouldn't be that
so
way.
What is at the core of what you're trying to explain to us as the right way, if you can determine it? Is it wrong when it's overextended? Like, when does it become wrong, Rage?
It becomes wrong. Listen, you can get away with the wrong shit, and the wrong shit works all the time. And right there, we're looking at a legend and a former champion. right? And I'm sitting here critiquing the technique. I mean, that's kind of fucked up. But we need to understand what it is, what our technique is, why we are striving for perfection. Perfection is a myth or whatever, but the more technically sound we can become, theoretically, the better we're going to perform. And it's not just about performance, it's about risk management. It's about risk management more than anything. Throwing the overhand, that's
good, right?
That's very good.
Is that good? I think if I'm getting what you're trying to tell me, this is good.
Man, I wish I knew who that boxer was. It says
Provonikov versus Bradley.
Okay. I mean, there you go. Inside slip, rear hook. Now, if we're gonna that's funny. He's allowed to do this because he's Russian. So he's using the European hook position. And I joke a lot about the European hook, and really, let me shout out Hyena and Josh Barnett. They're not watching it on the forum, but they might. I don't know if this gets recorded, but Josh Barnett and Josh throws the European hook. So when I did this, it was with love.
So a quick view. This is the European hook, and this is the right way.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. and from my Canadian brother, that means so much. Right. So European hook, American hook, amateur hook, professional hook. It's that simple, but it's not that simple because the trajectory of the overhand is different than the hook. So an argument could be made that because there is a trajectory of up and over, that the bones are still in alignment and you can bite with the knuckles. So it's not a simple answer, right? It's not a right and wrong. It's a nuanced, complex risk benefit decision, right? So what I decide is too much risk. Other people, But the issue that I have is that I want people to make educated decisions. Not gotcha. This is what I was taught. This is what I'm going to do. Right. That's different than.
Right. And I think there might even be a confusion when we begin to define right and wrong in different arenas. You know, there's a right way to train something, and maybe in application, that's the wrong way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And this happens all the time. And it happens in the world of the internet, where he's saying I'm wrong. He's saying I'm wrong. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. In the internet,
we see a clip. We see a 30-second video, a 20-second video, and then we tear it to shreds. It looks like Dance Revolution. Blah 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 blah. The thing is, we don't know. And I do what I call prehab exercises, right? And if I were to see a clip of me training an athlete now and send it back in time to somebody 20 years ago, that person 20 years ago that guy's a fucking idiot. But I know a whole lot more than I did 20 years ago. And my thought perspective is different. Point is, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what they're trying to do. We don't know, are they working specifically just on whatever? Right. Or is there some realm of transfer that I'm ignorant of? And they actually know what they're doing. But there's so much, right? And there's so much junk out there that we just want to assume that anyone that's different is full of shit.
Right. You know? And it happens in forums a lot. And I think it's whose fault is that? Is that the presenter's fault for not having?
It's my fault. No, I've been married since, like I said, 2004. Everything's my fault.
Oh yeah. So you conditioned. You have been conditioned.
See, and I have 2 wives. So, do you not know this?
No, I mean, should I be asking follow-up questions about this?
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Hey, forum. Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, no, I live with 2 women. We're a threesome. We're all kind of married, and it works. But
for real?
So yeah, so it's my fault.
You're my hero.
Twice.
You're my hero. You're my hero. Well, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah. We got off topic.
Yeah.
No, it's a byproduct of the environment, right?
This is judging clips
and then jumping to
conclusions.
Right. And I don't know, maybe it's something in our monkey brain, us versus them. I'm right, you're wrong. Like it's an ego driven thing that need to be right. Mm-hmm. Usually that makes us, but I don't know. One of my mentors, his name's Jeffrey Nakamura. We would always have these discussions. And one of the things that he would say is that people say knowledge is power. Knowledge most of the time is a curse.
Hey.
Yeah. Right. You see things, you understand things, and then you're the asshole.
Right. Yeah. The whole Plato's cave thing, man.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So
I get it. I think though sometimes I think sometimes because it's so damn confusing, it's even difficult for me to tell, and I really have to judge the individual, right? I'm like, are you bashing this clip because of ego, or because you really care about people and you really care about this art or this system? It's difficult to tell sometimes.
And it's not, I mean, most of the time I'm coming from a good place, but as I've already told everyone, I'm a fucking asshole. So sometimes I'm coming out of ego and fuck that guy. Right.
Yeah.
No, there was on the forum, it was months ago. There was a clip of a European boxing champion and his trainer, and they were stepping one direction, throwing a punch, stepping another direction, and it literally looked like something out of Dance Dance Revolution. And so I was one of the first to say, this is fucking ridiculous. Obviously, he's a European champion, so what does that even mean? Amateur boxing, blah, blah, blah. Then Phil Norman, Ghost Daddy. I asked him to share a clip, and he did share a clip, and then he actually kind of rebuffed what I said. He's like, he didn't. I'm going to paraphrase. He didn't bro me, but he did, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, bro.
Yeah.
We don't know what this could be a progression to another. We don't know what they're drilling. This could be a progression to something. Obviously, the coach is good, and obviously the fighter's good. So why are we jumping on criticizing this shit that is? And the other thing to remember, we put out disinformation. We fighters and coaches, and we
on purpose as part of. Yeah.
So my one of my fighters, Blake Troop, we had an event coming up, and we were preparing for it, and we would put out on his Instagram, we'd put out clips from a year ago, or we would do a promo with sponsored gear and throw movie punches, right? So a movie punch is easy to see for the camera, and it looks good on camera, but it's terrible technique, right? And so the intention there is, hey, we're shouting out the sponsors, we're doing it, and if anyone's creeping on our Instagram, they're going to say, oh my God, his hands suck. I'm going to get inside, and which is exactly what we wanted. We wanted the guy to come inside. So anyway, disinformation. We do it.
These are important things for observers and commentators in the broader social space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of wagging the finger at myself, right? Because
I do that all the time. Yeah.
You know, I'm quick to, oh, that's wrong, and you know, man, there's a more diplomatic and a more professional and more responsible way to voice your ideas.
Yeah.
And starting with, what I call intellectual humility, understanding that I don't know everything. This is just my perspective. And there's a way to start the sentence in such a way, I think that perhaps, and then go from there rather than saying, fuck you.
Right. But at the same time, kind of at the same token of what you do when you try to distribute misinformation about the state of your fighter, I do that in terms of how I choose to vocalize my initial commentary so that it engages more commentary.
Right. That's called clickbait. Right?
Yeah. Right. And it's like, I get it. And I do understand it. I really do. Yeah. But some conversations that are worth having and that are important to dig into will not happen unless it's presented in a way that triggers emotional responses. And it's the problem sometimes is that when you trigger those emotional responses, you don't know to what degree who you're trying to trigger is going to retaliate, and it can devolve very, very quickly, right?
Yeah.
And in that regard,
I hope Scott Walker's watching this.
Hey, Scott. Well, he is. Look, Scott is who he is, and I've judged him. And maybe maybe he's doing the same thing that you do when you disseminate false information, and maybe he's doing the same thing that I do when I want to engage conversation.
I think Scott Walker and I are like clones. We were separated. Fuck. Yeah. I mean, it's just like
but he's
the cowboy version of whatever the fuck I am.
I think though the difference, maybe the difference between you and Scott. By the way, I value both of your opinions. Whether or not I like how you said it.
Yeah, we got you fooled, huh? We got you fooled.
Yeah, and I sometimes have to step back.
What's that?
Yeah, I sometimes have to step back and be like, "Damn it, I didn't like the way he said that," but he's right. That's happened to me so many times, and I think a lot of people can't get over that emotional reaction to intake the good shit, man.
Right. So then whose responsibility is it? And then again, this is me talking to me. We choose our words. Mm-hmm. We choose our tone. Right. So man, if it's a little extra work, it's a little less impulsive. I just think we can do better. I do. I think, and sometimes, you can straighten your friend's tie. Sometimes you can be like, hey, I agree with the content that you're saying it, but maybe the way that was said is a little,
And then it's like, don't try to change me, bro. I am who I am. It's so complex. I think at Aperture Forum, we do a pretty good job. I think we do.
Hey, man, I fucking love the forum.
Me too.
Man. And then you go on other forums and you're like, oh. Yeah. Oh, this is what they mean by the internet. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I belong to a JKD forum. They're fun. Yeah. And anyway, you love the forum. I love the forum. It's gone through its evolutions. It's going to continue to do that.
Yeah. And it keeps getting bigger too, right?
It does. I wish that noobs, would have a little bit more license to present themselves. And I think we can do.
Okay. So how do we do that? Is this interactive at all, or just people fucking?
If you go on. Yeah, it's broadcasting live to the forum. So there are some I can pop up a comment right there. I don't know why their faces aren't showing, but anyway, there's a whole bunch of people that commented so far. I'm going to work on this.
All right. So any of you fucking noobs out there watching, how do we get you more involved at your own peril being made fun of?
Well, that's the thing, man.
That's it, right?
That's the thing. It's like, there's an element of the forum that I've tried to cultivate niceness, but I also don't want to encourage just being fake to somebody. Like just exactly.
Yeah.
Just fake being nice at the expense of them doing the wrong shit, right? I
Right.
don't want to do that as well. So,
but listen, what a great place to fucking practice diplomacy, right? So listen, there's passive, there's aggressive, in between is assertive. There's an assertive way to state what you're trying to say that doesn't have to be aggressive, and it doesn't have to be right. It's communication, right? And I ride my fighters about this all the time. The better the quality of your communication, the better the quality of your life. It's that simple. And if you look at people who are millionaires, billionaires,
they're so good. Rich people are awesome at communicating.
So I think it probably has some value, right? Especially,
they're great.
Negotiations or,
God.
right? So,
yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense not to you talk every fucking day, right? So why not get better at it?
This is true, man. This is like, duh, but like, well, it's not manifesting necessarily, but
yeah.
Look, sometimes I think also that not commenting is a good option to take. For example, if somebody's trying to show a kata or aikido, and you hate katas and that you hate aikido, there's going to be a way to express yourself that that can help the conversation, and then there's just you want to get your opinion in there and be a dick. And
right, and that's what we're discouraging.
That's what we're discouraging, right? If you don't like something and you have nothing good to offer and you can't intelligently layer something onto it, just not comment, right?
Right. Like where are we going with this? Right? Like your 2 cents and your insult, what did that accomplish? Right?
Right.
The whole thing is if you participate and make it better. Right? So I was just talking to one of my fighters today. There's conversation. And conversation flow back and forth, whatever. There's no objective to a conversation. There's not necessarily a direction. There can be, but it's just a conversation. Then you've got a discussion. And a discussion, there is an objective and there's a point to it. There's a reason for it. Next level up is debate. And the problem is people don't know how to debate. People know how to argue, which is the next step up, right? Okay, so this is your line. When I'm going to go, then you're going to go. You say no.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
No.
Yes. Okay.
You're an idiot.
No, there's an argument, right? There's the argument.
Right.
Nobody ever wins an argument. Ever.
Not online. Yeah.
No, but ever. There's no winning an argument. An argument can de-escalate to a debate, but an argument is never won. An argument just, it's acquiesced to, it's stopped, but it's never won. And then my favorite, next escalation is a fight. And fighting with me, you get fucked up. So
where does negotiation fall into the realm of what we do on the Aperture Forum? Because sometimes I feel like it does take on like a negotiation, right? Where we both have objectives, but we're seeking
that's interesting.
Mutually positive outcome.
That's interesting, right? Because to me, a negotiation implies a give and take. Right? That you're trying to get something. So then the question is what's the difference between a debate and a negotiation? If the commodity or the currency is information.
Right. I don't know.
Are they the same? I don't know, man. First I've ever thought of it, but
let's talk about punching people in the face.
Exactly, right?
All right, let's wrap this up, brother. This has been super fascinating. I wish I could continue. Can you give us some bullet points? You're doing it right if and and you're doing it wrong if and we'll call it at that.
Okay. So right is an educated, informed risk-benefit analysis where the risk is mitigated and managed as much as possible, and the benefit is acceptable. That's what's right. Wrong is anything else.
I love it. Is there more to that? Wrong is it? Yeah. So yeah, I like the simplicity of that because it covers so much, right? Wrong is everything else.
And it puts the onus on the individual to be scientific and educated.
Right. So, okay, you can train something right and execute it wrong, even though the outcome is positive.
Correct.
And then you can also train something wrong, execute it wrong, but if the outcome is positive, it's still not right, but we get to have more money in the bank account.
Perhaps, but you got away with it this time. But eventually the law of averages is going to catch up and you're going to get injured.
And that's why it makes sense to do it right.
That's why you should do it right.
Awesome. Fantastic. Everybody, whoa, 41 minutes. That flew by quickly. There's a lot to this. If you just tuned in, man. Rewind. My guest today has been Coach Rage Ng. Coach, plug away. Where do we find you? How do we get to train with you? What are some social media outlets where we can say hello and thank you at, other than the Aperture Forum?
Training with me, not yet a possibility, although I am building a website and I will be doing seminars soon. So that's probably the best way. If you're a professional fighter or an amateur fighter and you want to move out to California, Los Angeles, come see me at Black House. Where to find me? You already found me here on Aperture Fight Focused Forum. Check me out on Instagram. This is my name right here, Raging. Facebook and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. Just Google RAGENG. Look for This Ugly Mug and check out my channel.
Fantastic. Hey, look, I'm just going to leave you with this last comment by somebody on the forum. I think it's a great way to end things. This user wrote, "I learned so much. Keep it up."
So let's, I didn't get the answers I was looking for because you and I got talking and so let's post on the forum and figure out how we can get more of the newer people involved.
Let's do that.
And
Yeah, that's certainly a we need to do that.
Yeah,
definitely, because it's going to benefit everybody over the long term.
And we've got nearly 6,000 people in the forum, and we got a couple hundred that are regulars. So let's get more of the irregulars happening.
Sounds good, brother. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching the Aperture Fight Focused Podcast.
And my cat's name is Raku, Raku. It's a Sanskrit name. My wife named him, and that's him making all that noise.
Hey, one day we'll get to see him. But for now, brother, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you.
All right, take care.
Namaste.